Even on a so today we had kind of a lower load day. We always try to create competition. Even if it's again, just drill 60%, right? Try to make a goal of it. If you don't compete, the players just lose interest. Now we do have to do some teaching without a score, but score is always better. We did that fast break drill against the coaches today, and they had to get 15. They play against the coaches and just gets them more engaged. Big believer in that, and I think you know part of the idea is competition is fun, right? Like it's fun, so it just I want these guys engaged, and I think that's how you do it with competition.
You mentioned like the playing against the coaches. What do you find is, I guess, that gets the guys really going from a competition perspective? Like what little carrots do you dangle out there for them to win that you can really, I guess, increase their competition?
Yeah, well, we do the old "you lose, you run," and even though it's a down and back, it's there's a little bit of a humiliation to it. Quite honestly, that's not our purpose. But and then the team that wins today, the wine team won, and they beat the first team, so they were talking trash, and the first team's got to go down there with their head down. But it was great. Even today, like I said, even today, like on a load, we did finish the last part with 3 stops in a row. Like at the end of the games, you got to get 3, and it gets pretty, pretty intense, pretty physical. Tristan, unfortunately for the white team, got to stop at the end of the game to win it, and he's a good trash talker. So.
What's the next step for Darius Garland as a player?
Oh, that's a really good question. He's kind of done it all, right? He's been a really good scorer. He's a complete guard. I think for him and Donovan right now, it's just get to the next level in terms of winning. Like that's kind of going to be their next step, and they need help with that. And how do they help their teammates get there? Does that make sense? Like how do they? To me, that's their next step. Continuing to help Evan get better, to continue to get JA better, like lifting those guys. Because I do think in a vacuum, they're excellent scorers. They're both excellent passers. They're good defenders, both of them. And if you're just talking in a strict development set, Darius is the strength thing. Like it's the Kenny. This is a go through your chest league. Can he be better firming up and when the Jason Tatums of the world and the Brown, they start picking on you, really holding your ground. But I tell you, in terms of what I've seen in terms of effort and competitiveness, I have no problem with what I'm seeing with Darius. So I live with that. Now just keep getting stronger. And he's worked really hard in the weight room. He's been great since all summer and the beginning of training camp, working on his body. I think we're going to see results on the defensive side when the big games come.
You've watched him from afar for a number of years,
Yeah.
and one of the first things that you said during your intro press conference was how much you enjoyed watching him play.
Yeah.
As a former point guard yourself. What, if anything, have you learned about him since interacting with him in this capacity?
Super high IQ. Super high. Like I was expecting. When you're in the NBA and you've been an all-star and you're good, you can score. I think, but his IQ is even higher than I thought. Which on both sides of the ball, that he had a couple of steals yesterday in the scrimmage. It's like the only high IQ guys get it. He's just got a anticipation. He reads the play really well, and then he's got the passing part. But just overall basketball IQ is even higher than I thought. And I thought it was high from the beginning.
In the past, he's kind of had some issues with turnovers. How do you keep him and Donovan out of small spaces so that stuff doesn't happen?
Yeah, that's part of that big lineup too. I'd be interested to look at the turnover rate with the big lineup and the spread lineup. What does that look like? And that's part of it. We got to be really intentional. What does spacing looks like with that big lineup. I'll bet you. I would assume it's higher. More space you have, the easier it is to make reads. So great, you just gave me a great idea. I'm going to look at that. We got to be really intentional about our spacing with those guys. And I think we're putting in sets that are helping them. The problem is in the NBA, like it just goes like this, right? It's like sometimes as a coach, we're on the bench, man, we got to make the call, but it just the game is like this now. So we're gonna have to figure out even spacing on the fly without necessarily calling something. That's the real challenge.
You mentioned in Sarasota about Isaac's role expanding offensively to do
Yeah.
more than just standing in the corner.
Yeah.
There. How do you think that process for him has gone so far?
Really good. Like I love how we've used him as that middle linebacker in the half roll. Some guys don't love that position. Some guys don't love getting and making that hit and, getting downhill. But, he goes, hey, coach, I love being it because I become the playmaker, right? So hitting him on that pullback dive, we got to keep emphasizing that. Keep emphasizing the cutting with them. I think, slow progress there has got to be better. And then how much is he going to improve his offensive rebounding? And then make open threes at a 38% clip like he did last year. Now we're really, when the playoffs come, it's like, man, we got a guy that we're not saying, hey, we want to sit because we're playing so-and-so. We need him, in our lineup because the defense is elite, as we all know.